brings us to the central truth of the pro-life movement. Every life matters. Every life matters. My life with Robin and our family has taught me that the greatest lessons often come in the most difficult times. There is perhaps no greater lesson to learn than to trust in God's plan for you. You know, there is a saying that the way to make God laugh is to tell him your plans. Well, God's plans might be different than your plans. And you know, God's plan is better. Robin and I wanted to have lots of children. That was our plan. But because of her battle with cancer, she's unable to have more children. So God had planned for us to be foster parents to many children. And as you heard, since 1997, we have fostered 46 children, and we adopted 4 of them, keeping a sibling group together. Now that would not have happened with our plan. You see, God's plan for us was to foster 46 children. God's plan for us was to welcome 46 children into his world that he created for them. And this experience has helped me look at being pro-life in a new way. We tell others that we are pro-life, but what does that mean? Until our experience, I wasn't sure what it meant. And now I know. Or at least I'm on the path of knowing. You see, it all comes down to one thing. It all comes down to one word. Love. Pro-life means pro-love. I've just recounted to you the story of a mother's love of her son. Jake was loved from the moment of his conception. And Jake is a special person. But the fact that he was loved doesn't make him unique. You see, all babies are loved from the moment of their conception. Whether or not the baby's parents had a passionate or pure love for each other. Whether or not the baby's parents even really knew each other. Regardless of the circumstances, every child who has ever been conceived has been created of love. Every child who will ever be born has been born of love. The love of God. It has always struck me as being strange that our society puts a worth on the baby based upon how much the parents want that child. That doesn't make sense to me. It is the love of God that gives us worth. And it's that love that lasts forever. This is the reason for creation. And we need to remember that. Because our society is forgetting it. We often criticize the pro-abortion movement for not seeing what is increasingly obvious to science when life begins. But the biggest problem with the anti-life movement is not that they misunderstand the beginning of life. The biggest problem with the anti-life movement is they misunderstand the end of life. And the end of life, the quest for all of us, our ultimate mission is to be in the presence of God. It is to see God face to face, eyelash to eyelash. When we love each other here on earth, as hard as we try, we have a poor imitation of the love of God. The love of God is passionate and pure. To the great sadness of everyone in this room, our society doubts this. The world's first lie was that God does not love us. And unfortunately, there's still people telling that lie. In truth, if the baby is unloved by another, the problem is not with the baby. The problem is with the other. But make no mistake, God loves him. And no one can change that. It is also a lie that the pro-life advocates have a war on women. The truth is, the anti-life side has a war on women. And that war started as a war against God. In truth, the pro-life movement is pro-woman and pro-mother. It is a celebration of motherhood. You know, when you think about it, we all came here in different ways tonight. But it was the love of our mother, our heavenly mother, that brought us here. The mother who said, "Be it done unto me according to thy word." And it was the actions of our human mothers that brought us here tonight. It is a tragedy of our culture that motherhood is often looked down upon. We need to recapture the beauty of motherhood. And what in creation is more beautiful than a mother and a mother's heart? What in creation comes close? Cardinal Medici reminded us, the most important person on earth is a mother. She cannot claim the honor of having built Notre Dame Cathedral. She need not. She has built something more magnificent than any cathedral, a dwelling for an immortal soul, a tiny perfection of her baby's body. The angels have not been blessed with such a grace. They cannot share in God's creative miracle to bring saints to heaven. Only a human mother can. Mothers are closer to God, the Creator, than any other creature. God joins forces with mothers in performing this act of creation. What on God's earth is more glorious than this, to be a mother? A society cannot reject motherhood and remain intact. A society cannot reject life and remain intact. Being pro-life means fostering and furthering a society that welcomes life, and we need to do more. In America, we have lost more babies to abortion than all the men and all the women who've ever fought in all of our wars combined in the year 2006 alone. We need to do more. We need to donate more. We need to volunteer more, and we need to pray more. And we need to support those who are trying to do more. Everything we do in this cause of our private lives is an attempt to impact public policy. In the audience tonight are friends of Rob Maness, who are here to support this bishop's event. Rob is a fellow Air Force veteran of mine and a good friend. He's running for the United States Senate here in Louisiana. And I'd like to share with the folks that came from his group, please tell Rob that he has my prayers, and thank him for taking on this fight publicly. Being pro-life also means loving and caring for the mothers who suffer through abortions. They are victims who are lied to about God. It is imperative that we remind each one of them of a beautiful truth. God loves you. From the time He breathed life in you, He never stopped loving you. And He never will. And God's mercy and love are inexhaustible. As Pope Francis reminds us, we need to do a better job letting these mothers know that God will always love them. And our hope is that God Himself is fostering these babies until their mothers can be with them once again. Our hope is that He's holding these babies very close to His sacred heart, when one day He will hand them back to their mothers, and then they can cradle them in their own arms. And remember that the presence of God, while these babies are in that presence, they only have love and forgiveness for their mother. And we all need to be forgiven. Everyone in this room needs to be forgiven. That's why Jesus gave us 7 sacraments instead of 6. He knew we all would fall. And He knew that He could catch us and raise us back up again. Our faith constantly reminds us of this. At the beginning of every Mass, we ask forgiveness from God and from each other. And our faith compels us to love and forgive each other. As Bishop Duca frequently reminds us, if the faith is not at the center of our decision-making let me just close by saying I'm honored to be with you here tonight. You are a group who has put your faith at the center of your lives. You are living by faith. Although I don't know all of you personally, I feel confident in guessing that many of you might have been mocked for your pro-life position. Some of you may even lost some jobs over it. Many of you have donated money, worked tirelessly, prayed for the unborn, spent days, weeks, hours, years to support and stand up for the unborn. I know that you have suffered for this pro-life cause. And as far as the pro-life battle is concerned, you are the wounded warriors, and your sacrifice matters. It may seem like it doesn't matter to the world, but let me assure you, they matter to God. And tonight in the Diocese of Shreveport, I'm reminded of your cathedral's patron saint, St. John Berkmans. As you probably know, the story of his life and his astounding holiness was remarkable, especially since he died in his early 20s. Even as a young boy, John Berkmans was a very holy and devout child. He served as an altar boy daily and sometimes several masses a day. In fact, he is the patron saint of altar boys. One of John's most remembered quotes is this: "Our true worth does not consist in what human beings think of us. What we really are consists in what God knows us to be." My friends, remember that. Because your prayers of these little ones have been answered by God, who answers all prayers. Your prayers have made you the foster parents of many of these little ones. And my prayer for you, and my prayer for myself, is that we continue to be steadfast in the defense of life, and that we continue to be the voice of the voiceless. It is a difficult journey, I know, but it's one that could not be more worthwhile. Thank you very much, and God bless you.